Tom Aspinall claimed a reported $3.5 million payday at UFC 321 after the first-round eye-poke no contest against Ciryl Gane. But what if the money didn't vanish into cars or watches? What if Aspinall quietly invested in something nobody expects, and that one decision could redefine his legacy? Tonight, we follow the fight purse and the hidden empire. But to understand his money moves, we have to know more about his work ethic and clever spending that was built by his tough beginnings. Because before the fame, before the heavyweight gold, Tom Aspinall was just another fighter from Wigan trying to make a living in a sport where one bad night could ruin everything. He wasn't born into fame or privilege. He grew up around gyms, helping his father, Andy Aspinall, a jiu-jitsu coach, teach local kids. When money was tight, Tom worked construction, trained in freezing warehouses, and chased paychecks that barely covered the bills. Early in his MMA career, his fight purses were laughably small, sometimes less than 1,000 pounds per bout. But every setback turned into fuel. He sharpened his striking, perfected his ground game, and by the time he entered the UFC, he was a storm waiting to break. Within 2 years, he went from newcomer to champion with lightning-fast finishes that made him the most feared heavyweight in the division. But Tom's rise wasn't just about skill, it was about composure. He fought like a veteran, earned like a champion, and handled money like someone who'd already lost it once. That discipline would matter more than ever when, at UFC 321, fate threw him the biggest curveball of his career, and a $3.5 million question mark. Because when fortune hits in seconds, what you do next decides everything. Before UFC 321, Tom Aspinall was riding the highest wave in his career. He had bulldozed contenders like Sergey Pavlovich and Curtis Blades, each time earning six-figure bonuses and establishing himself as the new face of the heavyweight era. His fight purses grew from $100,000 to over $1 million per bout, but more importantly, his marketability exploded. Brands noticed. The quiet British killer who could end fights in under 2 minutes became a global name. Sponsorships from sportswear companies, energy drinks, and even a few luxury brands poured in. By the time the UFC booked Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane, it wasn't just a title defense, it was a financial jackpot. The UFC loaded the card in Abu Dhabi, guaranteeing a hefty appearance fee, international broadcast bonuses, and PPV points. Win or lose, Tom was already set to walk away with a life-changing amount. But what no one expected was how fast it would all unravel. Seconds into round one, a double eye poke from Gane stopped the fight cold. The bout was ruled a no contest. No winner, no closure. Fans were outraged. But quietly, behind the scenes, UFC executives confirmed something shocking. Aspinall's $3.5 million payout still stood. A payday from chaos. A fortune born from a fight that never really happened. And what Tom did next with that money would stun everyone who thought they knew him. The moment the fight ended, the arena fell silent. Confusion, disbelief, even anger. But behind that chaos, one thing was certain. Tom Aspinall just became one of the highest-paid heavyweights in UFC history. His guaranteed purse was $1.5 million, plus PPV revenue share and sponsorship bonuses, pushing the total north of $3.5 million. For a fight that lasted barely 2 minutes, it was staggering. But here's where the story turns. While fans argued over the controversy, Tom's focus wasn't on social media or damage control, it was on a flight back to Manchester. Insiders claim that he met with financial advisors and a close circle of friends about something huge. Not another car, not property, but an acquisition. Something that had nothing to do with fighting, but everything to do with legacy. People close to Aspinall describe him as calm but secretive when money's involved. He doesn't talk investments, he just moves, one source said. And this move, according to leaks from his management team, could turn his short fight into a long-term gold mine. Because while most fighters blow fortunes on image, Aspinall was quietly about to buy into something bigger, something British, industrial, and shockingly outside the cage. And when the details surfaced, it painted a picture of a fighter thinking not like a brawler, but like a businessman. After the chaos of UFC 321, Tom Aspinall returned home to Manchester, a national icon. The British press flooded him with attention, not for the fight's controversy, but for the size of his check. $3.5 million for 2 minutes of action turned him into a global headline. For most fighters, that kind of money becomes temptation. Cars, watches, mansions. But Tom Aspinall doesn't fit that mold. He still lives just outside of Manchester in a quiet neighborhood, not a gated supermansion in Los Angeles. His garage? A handful of modest sports cars, sure. A Range Rover SV, a customized Mercedes AMG, and a classic Triumph motorcycle, but no excess. He spends more on gym equipment than jewelry, more on trainers than champagne. His biggest public purchase after UFC 321 wasn't a vehicle or villa. It was a new youth training complex in Wigan, a place where local kids could train jiu-jitsu for free. The project reportedly cost over $400,000, funded directly from his purse. He called it "paying back the circle that raised me." Still, there was chatter. Friends noticed Tom was taking meeting, not with fight promoters, but with real estate agents and businessmen. He was looking for something outside the sport, something that would outlast the cage. When asked what he was working on, his answer was cryptic. It's something close to home, something big. And behind that calm, one rumor started circling. Tom Aspinall was about to buy a piece of his hometown's history. By the time UFC 321 ended, Tom wasn't just a fighter, he was a brand. His humility, soft-spoken confidence, and the way he handled the no contest made him more marketable than ever. Within weeks, sponsorship offers flooded in. From sportswear giants to British energy drinks, even high-end fashion brands looking to tap into his quiet alpha image. Insiders estimate Tom's annual sponsorship income post-UFC 321 jumped past $1 million, not counting UFC's official partners. But what sets him apart is how he negotiates. Rather than quick cash deals, Tom reportedly demands equity stakes or performance royalties, ensuring long-term profit even when he's not fighting. It's the same strategy once used by Conor McGregor, but executed with far less flash and far more patience. Behind closed doors, Tom's team was setting up a holding company to manage his assets, not a personal expense shell, but a business entity registered in the UK designed for investment across multiple sectors. That's not normal for fighters. That's legacy thinking. The buzz grew louder. Aspinall's playing the long game. He wasn't chasing status symbol. He was buying leverage. But leverage in what? When reporters pushed him about the $3.5 million, he smiled and said, "I'm investing in something that's a part of me." It wasn't a brand deal. It wasn't crypto. It was something older, hidden under Britain's industrial roots. And in a few weeks, the secret finally leaked, shocking even the people who'd known Tom his whole career. It started with a small business filing in Manchester. Journalists noticed that Tom Aspinall's holding company had quietly purchased a defunct steel factory on the edge of Wigan, the same one his grandfather once worked in. Locals thought it was a mistake. Why would a UFC champion buy an abandoned factory? But those who knew Tom understood. He's not sentimental without purpose. According to leaked documents, the site wasn't just being restored, it was being repurposed. Sources close to the fighter revealed that Aspinall was turning the property into a mixed-use development, part sports rehabilitation center, part sustainable energy hub powered by solar infrastructure. His plan was to create a fighter-owned performance lab where athletes could train, recover, and test equipment, all powered by clean energy. That's where the $3.5 million came in. Instead of draining it on luxury, he put nearly half of his payday into this project, partnering with local engineers and investors to breathe new life into a symbol of his hometown's past. It was a risky, visionary move, the kind of thing you'd expect from a tech founder, not a heavyweight champion. But it fits his mindset, practical, disciplined, and quietly ambitious. And when the public found out, the reaction was pure disbelief, because Tom Aspinall hadn't just invested in property, he'd invested in legacy. The truth finally broke when local news crews filmed construction trucks rolling into the old Wigan steelworks. It wasn't rumor anymore. Tom Aspinall had officially begun transforming one of Northern England's most forgotten industrial landmarks into something visionary. His plan? A state-of-the-art performance institute where fighters, footballers, and Olympians could train using smart tech recovery systems, and the entire facility would be powered by renewable energy sourced from the site's own solar grid. In interviews, he framed it simply: "Wigan made me. I want to make something that gives back." But behind the modest tone sat one of the boldest athlete-led investments in UK sports history. Analysts estimate the land alone, once refurbished, could triple in value within 5 years. Add in government sustainability grants and private partners, and Aspinall's initial $1.5 million investment might grow into a $10 to $12 million property asset. Locals started calling it the Iron Iron Gym, a nod to Wigan's steel past and Tom's iron-fisted future. Within weeks, major rehabilitation brands expressed interest in sponsoring parts of the complex. The project wasn't just emotional, it was entrepreneurial brilliance. And that's when people realized the truth. Tom Aspinall isn't just fighting for belts anymore. He's quietly building infrastructure, a fusion of sport, science, and sustainability. What started as a 90-second eye-poke ruined fight had turned into the seed of a multi-million-dollar legacy. Because where most fighters see broken paydays, Aspinall saw opportunity to build something that can't be knocked out. Here's the real twist, and it stunned even financial insiders. During the purchase of the Wigan site, records showed that Tom Aspinall didn't buy it alone. He partnered with a clean energy startup that develops hydrogen fuel cells for industrial plants. That same company has contracts with UK government energy initiatives, meaning hidden within his fight-funded purchase, Aspinall owns equity in a renewable energy venture with national reach. He effectively turned a fight purse into a corporate stake in the future of British energy. Quietly, smartly, and without a single Instagram announcement. Why hydrogen? Because the very factory his grandfather worked in once produced steel. Now, it's being converted to test hydrogen-powered machinery, a poetic circle, from the sweat of industry to the science of innovation. Tom doesn't flaunt it, but insiders estimate his stake could already be worth several million pounds based on new funding rounds. Fans thought the eye poke ruined his momentum. In reality, it redirected it. The fight that ended in seconds might end up earning him more long-term wealth than any knockout bonus ever could. One teammate summed it up perfectly. Tom's building something the UFC can't take from him. He turned pain into profit, controversy into creation. While the world debated whether the fight should be ruled a no contest, Tom was busy laying the foundation for generational wealth, literally. And when the lights fade on his career, that factory-turned energy hub will still be running, because Tom Aspinall's greatest win might never happen inside the cage. So how did the $3.5 million from UFC 321 actually break down? According to sources close to his management, $1.5 million guaranteed fight purse, $1 million pay-per-view points and international broadcast cuts, $500,000 sponsor and performance bonuses, $500,000 undisclosed appearance, promotional and discretionary bonuses. After taxes, team cuts, and manager fees, Aspinall likely pocketed around $2 million net. From that, nearly $1.5 million was immediately funneled into the Wigan factory redevelopment and hydrogen venture, another $300,000 into family properties, and the rest set aside in a UK-based trust for his children. Financial advisors say the move is almost unheard of for a fighter, reinvesting nearly all of a fight purse into tangible, long-term growth. But Tom has never followed the crowd. His mindset mirrors his fighting style: calm, calculated, devastatingly efficient. Today, while the heavyweight division waits for the rematch that will define his legacy inside the cage, Tom has already secured his legacy outside it. If the UFC stripped away his title tomorrow, he'd still wake up owning real estate, clean energy equity, and a multi-million-dollar operation that bears his name. From a 2-minute fight that ended in chaos came one of the smartest financial plays in combat sports history. It wasn't luck, it was vision. Because Tom Aspinall didn't lose that night, he invested it. And one day, when the cheers fade, the hum of hydrogen engines in Wigan will be the sound of a champion who turned controversy into empire.